many of the best kung fu and wuxia films feature heroes performing feats of physical ability that are superhuman, only a smaller set of films truly mix the magical with the martial. Holy weapons and arcane techniques are wielded by superheroes who battle villains in spectacular displays of visual effects. These are some of our favorite examples of this fantastic subgenre. First, an important note. The mixture of fantasy and action in Chinese cinema dates back to at least the late 20s with films such as The Red Heroine, and continues to today with numerous examples from the 21st century and from all over the world. It would take hours and an encyclopedia worth of info to cover every single film that fits this description. For the sake of time, we're going to focus only on the most fantastic films from Hong Kong and a few from Taiwan during the heyday of martial arts cinema, the 70s to the mid-80s. Sorry, Kung Fu Panda fans. After the international success of 1972's King Boxer, released in the US as Five Fingers of Death, Shaw Brothers Studios became the leading producer and distributor of martial arts movies around the globe. Buoyed by a stable of superstars and ace directors, the Shaw Brothers logo guaranteed audiences a high quality of story, action, costumes, sets, you name it. Historical action epics based on literature were not a new phenomenon and served the studio well for decades, but by the 80s, audience hunger for special effects-laden spectacles like those coming from America pushed the powerhouse studio to move away from grounded martial arts masterpieces to more fantasy-based works such as 1982's Buddha's Palm, a remake of a 1964 movie. Both the 1964 movie and the 1982 movie are based on a 1962 novel by Liu Kanyang. It's kind of like the type of novel Tony Leung's character is writing in The Mood for Love, but with a look and feel and colors inspired by contemporary comic books. There's also some other notable inspiration, if you look hard enough. It's fast-paced, full of colorful characters and unusual martial arts skills and techniques. And now, let's get acquainted with the bastard swordsman.
弟子知道。
风卷残云，狂风扫虐。
1983 was a banner year for fantasy martial arts movies. At Shaw Brothers alone, there was Bastard Swordsman, which contains some beautiful wuxia swordplay.
练一生四象，四象画八卦。
It makes this list by being, along with its sequel, the only film to feature the silkworm technique, at least as far as we know.
天蚕功。
天
Descendant of the Sun, a brilliant and thoroughly bonkers blending of classic Chinese gods and demons fiction with elements of the Superman story, finds a fairy child sent by the gods to Earth where he is raised by farmers and, in his adulthood, tasked with fighting off his demonic equivalent.
"你是谁？哼，我跟你一样，18年前从大罗仙界下来的。
Like Superman, the hero derives power from the sun.
因蔽日，原能尽释，这就是你们正仙的大忌。今天该是我报仇的日子。"
Unlike Superman, the climactic battle involves a supernatural game of rock, paper, scissors. Though it is a remake of a 1965 film, Holy Flame of the Martial World may be the defining superhero fantasy from this era of Shaw Brothers productions. The large cast of characters, the themes, and the conflicts may not be that different from the popular fiction of authors such as Jin Yong, heroes orphaned by villainy, rival schools, wandering masters, shifting alliances, and so on. But the martial arts techniques such as ghostly laughter, Chi shooting finger, are stranger and more supernatural than the average wuxia. There's magical games of tug-of-war. In a booby-trapped cave, our hero has to fight Chinese characters in order to unlock the chamber which contains the holy weapon. An evil wizard brings tapestries to life, and our heroes have to fight these monsters. Around the same time, at rival production company Golden Harvest, the class of stars led by Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung were helping push the studio from the old-school kung fu of Bruce Lee to more acrobatic, flamboyant, and comedic martial arts. Surpassing Shaw Brothers as the kings of the Hong Kong box office. In 1982, Yuen Wu-ping, probably best known to general audiences as the fight choreographer on the Matrix films, directed Miracle Fighters. It's a family affair starring 4 of his brothers. It's filled with broad comedy, magical martial techniques, and a show-stopping obstacle course climax. It's an audience-pleasing delight that led to sequels with returning Yuen clan members reprising similar roles. Only the third movie, Taoism Drunkard, features this guy.
What? You want to fight? Come on, man. Come on, come and get me. Wow! It's like vegetables. That's a break. It's vegetables. Don't carrots.
In 1983, University of Texas graduate Tsui Hark, already hailed as a bright young talent of Hong Kong's new wave, adapted a 1932 novel, Legend of the Swordsmen of the Mountains of Shu, turning it into the explosive, kinetic, and utterly fantastic Zoo, Warriors from the Magic Mountain. Employing Star Wars veteran Robert Blalock to consult on visual effects, Zoo is a perfect melding of wuxia fantasy and state-of-the-art special effects. Its influence reached far and wide, even inspiring John Carpenter to make Big Trouble in Little China. Not to be outdone, Taiwan also has a rich history of fantasy cinema. While Taiwanese productions never had the budgets of their Hong Kong counterparts, what they lacked in finance they more than made up for in imagination and weirdness. A particular note to superhero fans is a series of movies from the late 80s that are loose interpretations of the Japanese Momotaro folktale. Momotaro, or Peach Boy, is a hero literally birthed from a peach and adopted by a childless old couple.
这一辈子没有看过这么大的桃子，一定很好吃。
桃子，你别顽皮了，我看这对老夫妻还不错，你就把小主人交给他们吧。
老大夫，桃子里面有一个小孩。
好可爱的小孩呀！
老大夫，小心点。
Before you say, like Superman, note that this was written centuries before Action Comics #1. As an adolescent, Peach Boy befriends animals and uses his superpowers to fight demons. Much in the way that the role of Peter Pan was often played by a woman, Peach Boy is played by the highly talented Xiao Lao Lin. The Peach Boy movies are fast-paced, colorful joyrides full of lowbrow humor and bizarre creatures, but anchored by Xiao Lao Lin's charismatic lead. By the end of the 80s, Shaw Brothers Studios shut down their film production and transitioned to television. Golden Harvest continued producing totally tubular and bodacious movies. But martial arts and wuxia productions fell out of favor with audiences and were never produced again in such numbers. These kinds of fantastic movies didn't go away, obviously. Hey, isn't that Tony Leung? If anything, their influence has grown as more audiences discover them. The mixing of the martial and the magical shows up in everything from Kung Fu Panda to the latest MCU movie. This is just one example of the enduring influence and legacy of Hong Kong cinema, a history worth celebrating and a future worth protecting.